elapsed time, 311 days, 3 hours and 50 minutes. The Kerbals lift off from the Duna surface, bringing back all the lovely science they have captured from the surface below. Now it's time to rendezvous with Jebediah. Anticipating Valentina and Bob's arrival, Jebediah ignites the nuclear engine with Bill aboard, and they are ready for a nice, easy rendezvous. The teamwork of Jebediah and Valentina is something to see, as docking goes smoothly and the docking ports line up, allowing fuel transfer. Now it's time for Jebediah to hit the gas, or the nuclear in this case, dropping the orbit down to Kerbin's orbit. Kerbin is only a few months away. Re-entry goes swimmingly as the Kerbals sail over the Kerbal Space Center, aiming for the ocean to the east. Splashdown is imminent. The boys in the lab take the science learned and put it to good use. 1,000-point researches are done, and they are ready for their next mission to the stars. And what exactly is that mission? What body do they go to next? Stay tuned to find out.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. When we last left off, we recovered our Kerbals from Duna, and today we are going interplanetary once more. Probably split this up into two halves like we did before, but instead of going outward from the sun, we are going inward from the sun, and we are going to look at Eve. Now, I don't have a lander big enough for Eve takeoff. I would love to get a probe down there and do some science, but Eve has a little asteroid that it's captured called Gilly. Now, this thing has the lowest gravitational pull in the Kerbal system. Pretty rocky, but pretty easy to land on, and I think some pretty good science. So while we're here in the Eve system, we can get science high above Eve, low above Eve, maybe even in Eve's atmosphere as we aerobrake through. We'll run all of our science experiments there, and then once we land on Gilly, we will complete our science collection, bring our little rover, see if there's any breaking ground parts on Gilly to grab, and it should be a good time. We'll be using the lander that we took to Duna, minus the helicopter parts, and I adjusted the parachutes, and I got it to where the lander can, or the little rover can detach from the lander more swiftly and reattach, so we can use all of that fuel to our advantage. So I will wait for an Eve transfer window and be right back. Okay, righty, we are back, ready to go. SAS on full power. 3, 2, 1, go! And yeah, this hulking monstrosity does take a little bit to get up to speed. I remember I had to go pretty vertical, at least until the SRBs dropped off, and then we could pitch on over. It's basically the same launch profile as the last time, getting circularized, and instead of going prograde to Kerbin's orbit to get out to Duna, we will be going retrograde to Kerbin's orbit to drop down to Eve. So once we get up to orbital speed, I will be right back with you. Wish me luck. Hopefully we don't have any bendy flexy stuff going on. Alright, burn completed. We're in a 71 by 124. We got behind because as soon as I went full throttle, this thing started to shake, rattle, and roll, so I very gingerly applied the gas, but we have 1,000 meters a second in this bottom stage left to go, and then 1,600 meters a second in this stage, and then 3,500 meters a second in our nuclear stage. I took out all the oxidizer as well, so that really lightened our load. So let me go ahead and plan an Eve rendezvous, and I will be right back for the maneuver. Alright, so 1,262 meters a second. It's going to be a 1 minute 5 second burn, but this thing shake, rattles, and rolls like crazy, so I may pick up some speed before then. Probably burn at the 1 minute mark and go like half throttle if possible, and then we'll run out of fuel with just a little bit to go, and then we'll switch stages and we'll be a lot more stable, I feel. So let's go ahead and warp to that next maneuver, and I will see you for the burn. Alright, about 2 minutes to go here. I'm going to go ahead and throttle up. Right up until the point where this thing starts shaking. We have a little bit of wiggle. And I mean, this thing is so massive in that I imagine the engine power is pretty high up there. So, you know, we'll take our time on this burn until we ditch this stage. Once this engine kicks on, then we can pretty much go full power, I believe. But we'll just mind our P's and Q's here, continue to burn on the maneuver node, everything looks fine, and then we can fine tune and adjust when this second engine kicks in. So I will be right back. All right, we got up to about 1/3 throttle with this guy. I didn't want to push it anymore, but we're ready to separate and kick on the next engine here as soon as this drops away, and booyah, there we go, full power. And that will settle us in nice and easy, and we are pretty stable, 1,500 meters a second in this stage, and we haven't even gone nuclear yet. So there we go, leaving Kerbal Sphere of Influence and just burning away. Now what I might do is cut to the map here and fine-tune adjust that way. So we'll go ahead and stop that. We'll go to our map and see how our encounter is. And it might not be a bad idea to get rid of that maneuver node as well. Just sort of hold station right here, stability assist on. And then continue to burn until we see our encounter. That ascending node is going to creep its way closer to this orbit, and that is where we are going to meet Eve. I almost said Duna, but here it comes, as you can see. All right, so we missed our closest approach a bit. That's fine. What we'll do is we'll get out into outer space and then adjust our approach to Eve manually. So I will see you when we leave Kerbal Sphere of Influence. All right, got our Eve encounter. We were just burning prograde, retrograde, that sort of thing. Let's actually focus on Eve now so we can adjust our orbit here. Wow, we are pretty off the mark. We are coming over the top. Looks like we'll need to do some inclination adjustment as well. So yeah, it's going to be a standard thing where we're going to get as close as we can, burn anti-normal, drop it down and see if we can get an equatorial approach. So I will go ahead and finagle with these guys and be right back. All right, so I've decided, because Eve has such a strong gravitational pull, it won't take long to slow us down. So we'll go ahead and brake at, say, 370,000 meters. We will loop our entire orbit, and just as we get looped, we'll adjust our inclination to Gilly at our furthest point where we'll be moving the slowest and we can get the biggest bang for our buck as far as a plane change is concerned. And then we'll, circularize around Eve, probably get some high science, try to get low science before we detach the lander and head to Gilly. So next up is the Eve encounter, so I will see you then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see, but right there is Eve, and we are just a few days away from encountering it. As soon as we cross into that sphere of influence, I'm definitely going to start dropping all the science I possibly can, and old Bill, or Bob, is going to have a field day with all of the science he is going to pull and store into this pod. So I'll go ahead and cross the sphere of influence and get that science. All right, 15 seconds away until we are pulled into Eve's sphere of influence. Should be any time. We'll see the flip, and we should get some notifications here as well for being the first time around Eve and start paying off this rocket that we launched. I think it was about 350,000 or something like that. So there is Eve, world's first milestone, the first flyby of Eve. Let's go ahead and grab all of the science that we can, and I will be right back. All right, Bob coming back aboard. We've got 5 data there. Crew reports, EVA reports. We've had the mystery goo, the science junior, the barometer, and the thermometer. So everything is awesome. We have our stuff from high above, I believe. Let's review the stored data. So we've got temperature scan high over Eve, yes. So if we can get in space low over Eve, that would be pretty cool indeed. We'll keep all of those experiments, please. But the first step is to circularize, and circularize just enough that we are still in Eve's sphere of influence, and then we can make our plane change. So we'll add a maneuver, we'll go retrograde, just enough to get us captured here. So it looks like it's going to be about 400 meters a second or so. And at that point there, we will adjust our inclination. So I will be right back for that burn. All right, in space near Eve, that's good to see. I'll reset that experiment and get it next time by. Now that I know that 380 is close to Eve, we have a 38-second burn or so. So not too awful bad, a 19-second T-minus. And we should be able to get this done all in one burn. All right, one, go. Big burn, slow us right down, get us captured with Eve, and then we can actually, if we can, do our plane change and not affect our periaps, hopefully. If anything, we can readjust our periaps to get within 350 now that we know that this is in space low over Eve. And I tell you, that is a daunting, daunting beast indeed. I mean, take a look at that. Poof. I tell you what. All right, so we should be captured anytime, 40 meters a second or so. And skadoosh. All right, we are indeed captured. So next step is to adjust our orbit by setting Gilly as our target. We can see our descending node here is 27.7 degrees, and thankfully, our descending node is pretty close to our apoaps, but I mean, I'd like to do the majority of it here, if we can, and then that will allow us to really get close a little bit later. But I mean, if we do adjust it there, we're looking at 73 meters a second, and then we're pretty fast on our periaps. We'll be doing a lot of burning right there when we are speeding along. Conversely, let's try to actually adjust our inclination here at our descending node. So 155 or so. I think in the grand scheme of things, 124 would be cheaper than 70 plus whatever it would be to get our 8 or whatever. So that should be fine. That will change our periaps to 650, 678. So we can actually go up here, do our plane change maneuver, then adjust our periaps at our apoaps, burn just a little bit to get down within that 350 range, and then we can adjust for a Gilly capture. So I will see you for our plane change. All right, we are way out there indeed. There is Eve, and you saw how big it was when we were right by it. And we are the way in the world out here, so T-5, right on that maneuver node to get that plane change done. Looks like 50 meters or so. And cut, 0.2 meters a second. That's what I like to see. That puts us right dead even on plane. Nice. We actually almost got an encounter the first time by. But what I'll do is I will adjust my apoaps, or my peri here, just give, a smidgen of retrograde to get that down into the 350 range so we can get in space near Eve science. And then we will be good to go. So 300 should be more than enough. And then we can go around Eve a little bit, see if we can adjust our orbit at all, and work from there. So I'll go ahead and do that burn and be right back. All right, near Eve is 400K. Let's keep that experiment. We will EVA real quick, get an EVA report. Where are you? There you are. Go ahead and get an EVA report. Keep that, store that, please. And then we'll get in our little shelter here and start popping all of those experiments. Bob, you are amazing. We can store 4 more experiments. We are up to 11 data on the pod. And now all that's left really is to do the inner atmosphere science. We're just going to kiss the atmosphere a bit. We'll plow through, probably rear side first, if I had to make a guess, because I don't want these parachutes heating up, and we're going to have just a little bit of time to get all of the experiments run while we are in the atmosphere, and then we can pull them out when we are back out. So F5 for safety, and I will see you for the most dangerous part of the mission thus far. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 81,389. Hopefully, that will be enough for us to, make it out okay. That indeed is the question. Once we start getting into the atmosphere, we're going to have a very short time to act, and we need to run all of our experiments while we can. So here we come down into Eve's lower atmosphere, or upper atmosphere, lower space. And then right before we reach that atmosphere, we'll pull in our solar panels. And then we will tell Jebediah to hold it as retrograde as possible, making sure that that engine takes the full brunt force. Let's pull in all of our solar panels so they don't get sheared away, because as soon as they interact with the atmosphere, they're done. We can't do an EVA report or anything like that, because as soon as a Kerbal gets exposed, it's all over. So hopefully these experiments will be okay. It looks like they're tucked away fairly nicely. All right, so let's get down into it. 90 is when the atmosphere starts tugging on us, and we'll have about 10K of time to do our experiments here. All right, let's get off of time warp. We're almost there, so let's get ready to go. We're facing retrograde. Hopefully this will pan out. All right, get ready to take that crew report as soon as we cross the 90. And go. We're in the atmosphere. Keep that experiment. Mystery goo. Observe. Keep it. Science Junior. Observe it. Keep it. Thermometer. Log. Keep it. Barometer. Log. Keep it. And then we have the seismic data. We're not on the ground. So that is all the science we can do. Hopefully we survive this little skim. We should be going back up any time now. What did that do to our overall orbit? It's bringing us down just a skosh, but not bad. Unfortunately, like I said, we cannot do that EVA report. Go ahead and close that bay. Protect those experiments and get us out of this atmosphere, please. Nice. All right, part of me wants to F5 for safety, get Bob out on EVA, do an EVA report. Dang it. So as you saw, old Bob bit the dust as soon as he stepped out of the hatch, so a flyby EVA is not in the cards, unfortunately, but we did get a crap ton of science from that little pass, and now that we are out of the atmosphere, we'll raise our Perry once again outside that atmosphere and collect all of this science. So I will be right back. All right, in 32 days, we have a 413 meter a second change to meet Gilly out here. Seems fine. That will use up all of the fuel in this stage that we have here, and then we'll have 3,400 meters a second in the nuclear section and still a full tank in our lander. So I'll go ahead and see you for that maneuver. All right, a 46-second burn, T-minus 23 forward and back. Here we go. So this main stage will do the majority of the lifting, and then the nuclear section can go ahead and finish it off with just that little dab. And thankfully, it doesn't have to do too much work because it's not a very thrustful engine. It's very efficient, but it doesn't really get you where you need to go quickly. Not like this engine does. So we'll be lighter on our feet, which is good. And still plenty of fuel to get home. Not really concerned about that. There we go, break away. and we should be fine. 3, 2, 1.1 meter a second difference. And let's see how that looks. Yes, indeedy, Gilly encounter. All right, so I will warp on around and see you for Gilly. All right, 15 seconds until we enter Gilly's sphere of influence. There the chunker is right there. I don't really know if I want to do an equatorial alignment or anything like that. The main thing is just to get captured, and then we'll do our high orbit and then our low orbit, of course. So let's go ahead and go at our periapse and go retrograde. Shouldn't take much at all, as you saw it flip like crazy. So there we go, something like that, 161 meters a second. It'll be a minute 49 with this nuclear engine. It would be nice to get a little bit of oomph, but I'm not complaining. All right, so we should get our high over Gilly stuff right now. If we do our crew report, high over Gilly, yes indeed, keep that experiment. Let's go ahead and run our experiments down here and milk it for everything it's got. Keep it that experiment. We are really bringing in the science here. I'm feeling pretty good about such things as these. And then all we got to do is get low over Gilly, which we can certainly do whenever we start to land. Sweet. So I'll go ahead and have Bob collect that science EVA report and all that good stuff and be right back with you. All right, we're in a 14 by 12 orbit. We can't go very fast under time acceleration, but we are here. Let's see if we are close enough for, nope, that's still high over Gilly. So let us decrease our well, you know what? When we land, we'll do all that stuff. So I'll go ahead and get all the Kerbals to this lander that I would like. Definitely, oh man. Part of me wants to take Bob, or I mean Bill, because if the lander legs break, they're going to need to be fixed. And just looking at it there, it does look like we have some broken landing legs. So maybe old Bill can go out and repair these landing legs before we depart. That would be a pretty good thing. So I'll have Bill repair these rover legs, because we should be able to come down nice and easy on this thing. So we shouldn't need Bill after this little repair. So Bill will repair. I'll get the crew aboard the lander can, probably Valentina and Bob, and we'll be right back. All right, we've got Bob and Jebediah aboard the Mark II lander can. Valentina and Bill will be up here in the lander stage here. So let's go ahead and decouple. And then while we are here, let's actually activate our engines here. And I think we can just, there we go. Scoot it nice and away. We'll flick that part into outer space. There that goes. And now we will be ready to make a landing. All right, we might as well drop the gear. Now, if my measurement was correct, yes, indeed, the legs will extend down to the surface, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and plan for our descent on the daylight side, shall we? And we'll basically just kill off all of our speed and drop straight down to the surface. It'll be 12 meters a second. Lovely, lovely stuff. Then we can just adjust from there. And the fall to Gilly is very, very long, so it may take a little bit, but I will be right back. All right, we're dropping at 10 meters a second, doing our quick little experiments on our way down. Should be fairly quick here. And then we've got the mystery goo. And then right when we touch down, old Bob can reset these experiments. We just wanted to get space near Gilly. And here we come. I mean, it's not the most beautiful planet or rock you'd ever see, but it is easy to land on for sure. In fact, it's a lot harder to remember to cut your throttle, because you'll, even with the smallest of thrust, you'll be leaving the surface. It's very easy to leave. In fact, a Kerbal can indeed leave Gilly's sphere of influence with just an EVA pack. So 2.5 meters a second. We are 50 meters above the ground. And once Bob comes out and resets all these experiments, we'll be able to get science data from the surface of Gilly. And we are just barely cracking that throttle, dropping at, say, 1 meter a second. Just cut everything. We've got SAS on. Hopefully these landing legs can stand up to, say, 0.3 meter a second. And here we go, nice and easy. Not even on the gas. SAS off. And as long as we don't have too much bounce in our step, we won't take off. But we have indeed landed on the surface of Gilly for 128,000. So any sort of rotation will lift us off this planet, that is for sure. Oh crap, I didn't pack a ladder. Well, Bob, Jebediah, if you please, go ahead and go on EVA and we will... I mean, this is Jebediah letting go. For crying out loud. He's just gingerly floating down, ready to plant the flag. There we go. Jebediah has landed on Gilly. Let's plant that flag. We'll get another world's first milestone here. There's only a few biomes on Gilly, but Gilly is good enough for me. So you can see just the action of planting the flag has sent Jebediah a little bit higher. All right, so now it's time for Bob to come on out, grab the soil sample, and reset those experiments. I'll go ahead and do that to end the episode. And because, you know, it's just collecting science. It's nothing too awful major. I'll look and see if there are any surface features that we might be able to scan with our rover. If not, we're just going to leave this thing be. Well, I mean, we might as well bring it with us to get the fuel. And look at Jebediah hopping around. All right, Bob, go ahead and take the surface sample, if you please. 540 science. We'll keep that. And like I said, I'll go ahead and reset all of these experiments and be with you for the return. But a nice long mission, but something we haven't done before. Jebediah is certainly excited. But like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.